today we're going to do a lesson in adding and subtracting decimals. We see decimals in our everyday lives, whether we're looking at price per pound. Money is a huge decimal that we come in contact with every single day. A lot of times, you can look at miles that you're going from here to there, or whatever. It's just a decimal is just a part of a whole number, represented in a different way than a fraction. So today we're going to learn to add and subtract decimals to the hundredth place. So before we even start adding and subtracting decimals, we should probably take a look at the biggest misconception about adding and subtracting decimals, which is our place value. So we know our place values are ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. We deal with those every day. So our decimal values on this side are tenths, hundreds, and then you can go thousands and you continue, but we're just going to work with these two parts. So those are what we work with every day. So that's kind of how they go. But for a lot of people, when they're setting up their problems to add and subtract decimals, they don't line them up right. It's just like if you're going to add 152 plus 63, you have to line up the ones, the tens, and the hundreds column. The same is true for decimals. So we take a look at 10 and 72 hundredths plus 1 and 6 tenths. So when we look at that, we want to set it up, and so we'll stack it. So we have our 10 and 72 hundredths plus. Now you have to pay attention to your decimal. You cannot just set it up to do 1 and 6 tenths like this, because this is wrong. You're not adding the correct place values. You're adding your tenths and your hundredths together, and you can't do that. And then your whole ones with your tenths. So that's wrong. You can't do that. You have to pay attention, and you have to add your ones with your one place, your tenths with your tens place, and if you need help to line it up, you just can stick a 0 at the end or wherever you need help to align them correctly. The same goes with subtraction. So if you have 17 and 13 hundredths minus 3 and 2 tenths, we stack them. You can't subtract the place values in the wrong spot. So you have to make sure you're stacking your ones place with your ones place, your tenths with your tenths, and you can add a 0 at the end if you need to in order to subtract it out or add it, whichever way. So we're going to look at a visual aid. So we're going to look at adding base blocks. So for this, if you have them physically, your flats are going to be your whole. So, and then you're going to have your rods, which is your tenths place, and your units, which is going to be your hundredths place. So we're going to look at doing this one. So we're going to take 5 and 2 tenths. So that's your 5 and 2 tenths. And we're going to subtract it from 2 and 13 hundredths. So the first thing I immediately notice is this goes to the hundreds place, but my first number only goes to the tens. So what we can do is we have 2 tenths, and we can break this down into 20 hundredths. So we can just break this down into your 20 hundredths. You add your lines in. So so then we have tens. So we're going to look at this, and so we're going to take, you have 20 right here, and you're going to take 13. So we're going to get rid of 10, 11, 12, 13. And then we're going to look here, and we have 2 minus 5. So we're going to get rid of 2 of our flats, and then we're going to see that we have 1, 2, 3 holes, and then we have turn this into 20 hundredths, so we still have 7 hundredths. So we're going to write 0.07 to get our 7 hundredths. We can also use this for addition. So we're going to do 1 and 54 hundredths plus 2 and 31 hundredths. So we're going to start with this, and we have 1 whole plus 5 tenths, so we have 5 rods, and we have 4 units. And then we have 2 holes plus 3 rods for our tenths place, and 1 unit for our hundredths place. So adding is pretty simple. We're going to simply count them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rods. And then we have a decimal, and then we have 1, 2, and 3 holes. So that's pretty simple. If you do get to a point where you have 10 units, it's gonna your 10 units are gonna change into a rod, and 10 rods change into a flat. So it's just moving your place up. Okay. So let's go over a couple of other addition and subtraction strategies. Okay. So one thing we can do, just like you do with adding whole numbers, is you can try to make your compatible numbers. So you're going to look, and so we have 2 and 78 hundredths plus 6 and 27 hundredths. So you're going to look for numbers that, I guess, go together. So simple enough, we know this is 15. We're going to carry this. And then you're going to add this, so that's 7, 8, 9, 10. So you get to 0, and you're going to carry your 1. And then you have 9. So as long as you lined it up, then you just add it the same way you would another number, and you just bring your decimal down. Like so. One thing we can do that sometimes makes it a little easier with subtraction is to to balance your problem. So let's look at this one really quick, where we have 12 and 5300 minus 6 and 8800. So that can be a fairly difficult problem unless we look and we know if we add 12 hundredths to this, that's going to make it a full 7. So we're going to balance it out. So we're going to add 12 hundredths to both. So then we're going to get 12 and 65 hundredths. So we're going to do 12 plus 53, 12 and 5300 plus 12 hundredths. And then we add 12 hundredths to 6 and 88 hundredths, and that's going to give us a 7, an even 7. And then we can subtract it out. We know that can't take, that's nothing. So 5 minus 0 is 5, 6 minus 0 is 6. Add your decimal, and 12 minus 7 is 5. So you can balance out your decimals. And that makes it a little bit easier if you're going to do that. So the biggest thing that we can do with this is money. So all of it you can look to as money, and that's the easiest way that I remember it. So thank you.